Okay, stop me if you've heard this one before. Pass interference controversy involving the Kansas City Chiefs. This time it's while they're on defense controversy. Fourth down and 12 for the Minnesota Vikings. You're going to see Kirk Cousins, there's a blitz, so he's just going to throw one up, gets hit as he's thrown, and at this point, this is where the foul is potentially going to happen, where, the reason why this isn't going to be called a penalty is due to it's going to be ruled uncatchable. The initial ref, and this is worth noting, I think, the ref initially threw the flag because he deemed it to be enough contact to be considered a pass interference penalty. So that's kind of off the table right now. This gets picked up simply due to, is this a catchable play or not? And as you see, it kind of lands around where that S logo is. I'll go back and play it a few times so we can see. This looks at least in the range of catchable. Again, uncatchable to me means there's no chance you can make that play. And without the contact, I don't know if you can definitively say there's no chance. And it's always one of those things where it's like, well, it could have been catchable if there wasn't the interference, right? Again, this angle can kind of show us the actual contact itself. I didn't think there was a ton there, to be honest, but there was enough. And I would say it's probably still falls under significant. I would have called this a penalty. I would have. Given the angles that I have, I think this was enough for a penalty. Is it the worst, most egregious call I've ever seen? No. That happened shortly after. So here it is. Snead takes his helmet off on the field. Okay, well, that's illegal, but, hey, sometimes you miss it, right? Sometimes you just don't see it happen. Well, no, not exactly. You're going to see a ref enter frame here, and he's clearly telling Snead, put your helmet back on. That's clearly what he's saying. So Snead falls and does. The best faith interpretation I have is if they were under the impression that Snead's helmet sort of fell off and he kind of just took it the rest of the way off, which doesn't appear to be the case. It looks to me like, because they did show another angle, it looks like he just took his helmet off, and for some reason they decided not to call it a penalty and instead actively said, like, hey, buddy, don't do that. That's not what you're supposed to do. Which, like, listen, on one hand, I kind of get it. You want people to follow the rules without impacting the play. I understand that logic. But at the same time, like, your job is to enforce the rules. Like, you don't get to make that call. Like, at the end of the day, Snead broke the rule. You're supposed to flag him on it. Now, it's also worth mentioning, this was not a third down. This is the fourth down. So it wouldn't really have mattered that much. It still would have mattered. It's still field position. It still makes a difference. And to me, what's kind of more frustrating about it is just the principle behind it. Say what you want about, well, it was fourth down anyway, and it was, it would have been a dead ball foul. Sure, all of that is 100% true. At the same time, it's just like, okay, what are you doing though? Like, your job is to call the game the way the rules are designed. This is a super easy call to make. There was another similar, just baffling call when there was, it's a rule that you can't dunk the ball on the field goal post as a celebration. They made that a rule after Jimmy Graham accidentally bent the field goal post and the game got delayed for 20 minutes. And then that happened in a Colts game. That wasn't called either. So I don't know what's going on, but like, the refs don't have this power, or at least they shouldn't have this power. Like, this is a black and white, this is puck over the glass in hockey, right? If it happens, you have to call it. For some reason, it wasn't called. I just don't understand why. It did end up in many ways costing the Vikings the game. I mean, I don't want to say it cost the Vikings the game, but it hurt them significantly because they ended up having to go for a Hail Mary, didn't have time to get it off. That field position certainly would have helped.